All right, guys, let's learn how to live stream student announcements in this video as part of the ABC2 Accelerated Broadcast Curriculum learning segment. All right, so how do we live stream student announcements? I have worked with so many broadcast clubs and schools who want to live stream student announcements, and there was one school in particular that really stood out in my mind, and that is the Griswold High School Broadcast Club. The teacher there, Timothy Moore, walked me through some of the tips and strategies that he has gone through to really have a great live stream. It's a student-run organization. There's over 10 students involved. There's 16 total, but 10 total involved in a video production system. They're using vMix, and we'll look at a high level of what the Broadcast Club is doing. And then in our next video, we will look at the technical implementation, how everything's plugged in, all the cameras, the microphones, how everything's connected over a local area network. It's really quite ingenious what they're doing on a budget. So let's look at how the production crew is set up. So this is 100% student run. The producer, okay, is the teacher. So that is teacher Timothy Moore. So the teacher is the producer. He technically should not have to do anything at all. He is just there, as Tim says, it's a student-run organization. I'm just here to sit back and watch things go smoothly, maybe solve a couple problems as they arise, but the students in total get 180 days of practice running the show. Now, the director is usually a senior, okay? So someone who's come through the ranks, maybe they were a freshman, maybe they were a sophomore when they've joined, but in the past, they have done the other roles. So they've been a camera operator. Maybe they were an on-screen talent. Maybe they did character generation or on-screen news, or maybe they were a teleprompter in the past. And the importance of that is that this director has experience, okay, with the other departments. So when they need to delegate, when they need to tell someone what to do, when they need to make sure everything's running smoothly, that director has experience from the levels below him on what they do. So the director is the most important role in the organization, and the director must arrive early. So they have a time set up where the director comes in at 7:15, okay, 15 minutes earlier before everyone else who comes at 7:30. So he's got 15 minutes to prep, think about the show for the day, get everything in order. And this role is responsible for checking in with every department head. So the department heads would be the technical director, who's actually doing the video production and switching, the audio chief, right? And then the different heads of the teleprompters as well, that are doing news. And now this could change. This organizational chart may be different at each club, but usually the director checks in with each other director, whether it's a technical director or an audio chief, and makes sure everything's set up. So let me run through a list of responsibilities and duties that director has. So they set an example and they show initiative. They focus, they watch the clock, they test all the systems a safe time ahead. They're ready to give warnings and give cues to let people know what's going on. They know how to delegate because everything can't be done by a single director in this type of production. They need to anticipate and solve problems, be able to work all the equipment and therefore troubleshoot, learn the terminology and the vocabulary, which will help you do in this course. There's an entire glossary that will help you go through that. Learn how to trace cables and watch the meters and levels. They'll review past performances and adjust, which is an important part of the club, meeting each week and reviewing what happened the past day. And they need to rehearse and practice and balance praise and discipline. So they talk to each one of the other directors and balance that. They emulate the experts, they develop talent, and they take inventory. So that is a look at what the director does. So in a high level, this is the show workflow. So we do some preparation, right? We're always having preparation. If you're just starting out with a broadcast club, there's lots of other schools just like you. In fact, we interview the Union High School in California that just started their broadcast club last year. And this is their first full year. And there's a lot of preparation in media and inputs. But once that's done, you have everything you need and you can kind of rinse, wash, and repeat with new content each day and each morning. Then we usually go to a show intro, and that's when we're counting down to the time. And then we get to our core content. And the core content we'll look at the Griswold High School, what they do. It's very similar. They work with the principal, they work with the different teachers in the organizations and ask if there's any news that needs to be reported on so that the whole school knows about it. They also report on birthdays, and they have a word of the day to keep everything educational, and we'll go over how all of that works. So once the core content is complete, we go to the show credits, and then the show is pretty much over. This is an idea of some show flow examples. We'll go over this more in another chapter, which is on mindful video production. But as you can see, camera control, operating cameras, making shot adjustments. This is an example of how we can start at maybe a close-up, have a wide shot if we have a conversation going on, then go to a close-up of our second person, come back and forth, and we'll talk about the strategies for doing transitions and cuts. So in a very, very basic system, we have a camera and a microphone, right? And there's a computer with a live streaming software that allows us to stream this media to the world. So that's a very basic setup there, and it gives you an idea of the way it works. Now, we'll go over a lot of this in more detail, but I want to continue to talk a little bit about the different roles in the club. So the technical director obviously is the person, well, maybe not so obvious. The technical director is the person who is running the video production software. The technical director and the audio chief, they really work in sync, and that's why they're next to each other, because the technical director is making all of the different switches in the video production software. So they are switching between cameras and making sure that the audio levels are coming into the system. But on the other side, the audio chief is actually looking at the audio mixing board, and they're wearing a pair of headphones. So I'll just put a pair of headphones here so you can imagine this audio chief is wearing some headphones. Well, I guess their head would be a little lower than that. Sorry. But the audio chief is listening to those audio inputs, which can change depending on the on-screen talent, depending on the audio level coming from the room. They're constantly checking the audio mixer, which is feeding into the video production software, which the technical director is a part of. Now, I just want to say here that on a recent interview, I was actually talking to one of the students who said some really interesting things from the Griswold High School. They said, this is from one of the students who is a technical director. She said, I know personally that being able to be part of this coming up from freshman year has made quite a difference in my life. And everyone here, part of the crew, becomes part of a family. She has been a character generator in the past, also a teleprompter chief, and it's helped making coming to school every day that much better. And this is the place where she found out what she wanted to do with the rest of her life. So it was really a great part of everything. Now, the teleprompter chief, which is something we'll look at, the teleprompter is essentially something that the on-air talent looks at, and it shows the on-air talent what to say. And it kind of scrolls upward. And we'll look at that in more detail in the next video. But this teleprompter chief is helping. Now, if you have multiple teleprompter chiefs, that one here for the Griswold High School Broadcast Club has news, and then another one for weather, it gives the talent what they should say. So that's important. And then looking at what the teleprompter chiefs are creating are either the on-screen talent here. There's our on-screen reader. They're looking at the teleprompters and learning what to do, or reading what is on the screen. And then finally, we also have some other options here for folks. And this is not everything. These are just really the core folks in charge of the production. We have character generators, which will update the titles and keep everything updated for the day. And then we have camera operators, whether they're operating a PTZ camera, which we'll look at how the Union High School is using a PTZ optics camera to create different camera angles and has a joystick controller. Joysticks generally look kind of like, you can actually use an Xbox joystick, but they kind of look like that, and they allow the student to control a robotic camera and where it's looking. So things of that nature as well. So that is a look at a high level of a morning announcements production crew. Next video here, we're going to look at a case study and really get into the nitty-gritty setup of the Griswold High School Broadcast Club. Thank you so much, Timothy Moore, the teacher there, who shared all of this with us, and Kyle Gunderman, the IT director, who made a lot of this happen. It's really incredible what you guys have been able to do, I know, on a budget. So we'll look at that in our next video.